Okay, we're looking at Part E, weak acids and weak bases. In step one, it asks us to take a look at what happens when we use an indicator. So we're looking at the colors of our solutions when we use our indicator, which is methyl orange. In the first one, where we have acetic acid, which is an acid, you'll see it's kind of a reddish orangey color, okay? That's the acid. Then plain water is more of a yellow-orange color, okay, not so red. And then the last one, the base, it's actually pretty yellow, okay? So acidic is more reddish orange, kind of orangey yellow for the water, and then kind of a little less, even more yellow for your base. And we're going to use those as comparisons to try to figure out what's happening, okay? So we're going to start using 3 milliliters of acetic acid. So I'm going to find my acetic acid, and I'm going to put a little bit in a test tube. Stick some in here. Really doesn't matter how much I use. Okay. And it asks us to use a drop of methyl orange. So I'll grab my methyl orange, which is orange. Okay. Made a little bit of a mess of that. So we've got a color that's kind of more reddish than anything else, reddish orange, which is going to remind us a little bit of that acid, which makes sense because we used acetic acid. Okay? And then it wants us to add a little bit of sodium acetate. All right, so I'm going to find my sodium acetate here and then add that and see what happens. Okay? So as I add some in, I'm hoping that you can see that it's turning a little less reddish. Okay, so it's turning more orange and less red. So to start with, it was more reddish orange. Now it's kind of more of just an orange color. Okay. All right. In this second part, we're gonna have 2 samples of ammonium hydroxide. Okay, so we'll start with some ammonium hydroxide. Scoop that in there. A couple samples of this. Again, just a nice colorless, clear colorless solution. Okay. I had that was a dirty test tube. Okay, so we've got a couple test tubes here with just clear colorless solutions in them. And then it wants us to add a drop of another indicator, which is called phenolphthalein. Okay? Phenolphthalein is going to be colorless when you're neutral or acidic, and it's going to be a really cool kind of bright pink or fuchsia color when you've got a base. So we've got this sort of bright fuchsia color forming here, okay? All right, so for the first one now, it wants us to add some ammonium chloride. It's a little bit of a challenge because when we add it, it's not really going to seem very much like anything's happening. Okay, so I'm going to add some in. Just going to go and squirt some in there. I'm going to do a little wafting thing. A little bit of a challenge with your masks on, but you can slip them down over your nose and take a... So I get a pretty pungent smell. What I'm smelling is ammonia gas. Okay, so I don't see a lot of a color change, but in step 4, when I added the ammonium chloride, I got a pretty strong smell of ammonia forming. Okay? In step 5, it wants us to add some hydrochloric acid to the other one. So we'll take this, and we'll add some hydrochloric acid, and we'll see what happens. Might take a minute to add enough. I think you can start to see that the color is getting lighter and lighter as I click the, so let me get some in here. You can see, hopefully, that the solution is actually turning almost colorless now. If I kept going, I could get even this pale pink away and get to colorless.